And it's 12th man. It's another episode of Gooner to Gooner. I've got a brilliant Gooner with me. I've got James B. You all know him from AFTV, and you all know him from the Gooniverse. Big up, James. It's been too long, man. I literally have had so long now, and I cannot remember the last time me and you did a one-on-one. I can't remember the last time me and you shared a platform other than, of course, Loose Cannons. But together on just us two, we must be going back sometime, bruv. How you been?
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, a couple of things. Firstly, to everyone joining the stream and who was waiting, my fault entirely that we were late. My timekeeping was poor, squeezing too much into the day. Dan actually already pushed this back for me from a 1:30 stream, so I can only thank you, Dan, for being so accommodating for me. But also for welcoming me back. Yeah, we hadn't done content for a little while. I mean, I said on the Gooniverse podcast when we returned this season that, you know, I took a little bit of a break from content last season. A lot of it was a mixture of personal life reasons added to the fact that basically Arsenal weren't fun last year at all. And I just went, listen, I don't know if I've got the energy to give to this, to everything we do in the way that we should be giving it. So anyway, I've come back fueled for the season. And yeah, it's good to catch up, man, because this is a really interesting time for Arsenal in the sense that we're a very good team. We have very good players, yet it always feels like there's a problem. Always feels like there's something, whether it be injuries, whether it be City breathing down our necks, whether it be the general expectation. There's always something to talk about. And I'm really, really interested to just go into it in detail with you, man. So yeah, things will be a good show. So thanks for inviting me back.
No, come on, man. You're always welcome on here. You know that, bro. Make sure you're following James if you're not already. I'll make sure to put his channel in the title. All you've got to do is click on it. The Gooniverse doing unbelievable things over there. Yourself, with Sharoy, without Sharoy, on your own, with other guests. It's been brilliant to see it grow, man. So big up to you. And make sure that you're following James. And we're going to talk Arsenal. Before we do that, make sure you hit like on this one, people, and subscribe. Make sure you're following both myself and James B on all social media platforms. And make sure you're also following OK Jerseys. You can see the badge there. Make sure you're showing them some love. You can use the code 12man to get 8% off any shirt. I've literally just got, right, the Brazil 2002 Ronaldo shirt with R9 on the back and the Zidane 98 one with 10 Zidane on the back. And it's beautiful.
Great work.
I'm so proud of it. I might even put it up and show people on here on the back here one day because it's that good, man. So yeah, it's just taking me back, bro. It's taking me back. You know, when you open something and you're like, this is just, I can't wait to like take this out, put it on. I was a bit like that. So if anyone does want retro jerseys, I would recommend OK Jerseys big time because they literally are just an absolute, they're so good, man. I looked at it, it was perfect fit. Make sure you get a size up. I would suggest that. Make sure you get a size up because they do come in quite slim fit. So, but I tell you what, unbelievable. And the nostalgia just putting that on, James, it just took me back. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, only a tad. But I'm a little bit older than you. But yeah, bro, it's, you know, bro, it's class. Now, R9 and Zidane, they're two of the best players I've ever seen, bro. Honestly, growing up, I was just like, wow, yeah, insane.
Yeah, I think Turkish he always talks about Zidane. I mean, he loves the guy. And then R9. I mean, I think Thierry Henry is, I wouldn't say indisputably, but you speak to anyone, even non-Arsenal fans, they're happy. A lot of people are happy to put Thierry Henry as the greatest Premier League player of all time. Whether they might look at it differently with Ronaldo and the peak he got to, but that was at Real Madrid, whatever. Mo Salah, like Erling Haaland, and you know, and greats before. So, but it's just interesting that with Henry, the conversation, people will go, but R9 though. Like even Arsenal fans will go, yeah, but R9. So yeah, I was, yeah, I never quite caught the best of R9.
Trust me, I love Thierry. Like, I've got no qualms of anybody who puts him as the GOAT. I personally believe Dennis Bergkamp's the best player to wear the shirt, but I'm not going to argue that Thierry Henry was better. If people want to throw that at me, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. But I can't say that he's better than R9. And I love Thierry. But let me tell you this. R9 is the greatest thing I've ever seen in some form of a striker. I watched him live thinking, this is scary. Like, what the hell? How does this... Bro, he was unbelievable, particularly in his time at Barcelona and Inter Milan. I just thought there's nothing like this dude, man. He's unbelievable. And what he did with Brazil in 2002, coming back from the ACL like he did, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. And back then, the ACL was different to when you come back now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was absolutely phenomenal, mate. So, yeah, without a doubt. And Zidane's the best midfielder I've ever seen as well. Like, he's better. And I've seen some unbelievable midfielders, as have you. But the guy's different gravy, man. Different gravy. So, yeah, man, that's where I'm at with those two. But make sure you check it out, people. We got Match Bingo as well in the live chat. So, please make sure you're clicking on that, downloading. Can use the code POTS as well to get a little bit of a discount as well. So, make sure you've downloaded and you're playing Match Bingo. And good luck to you all. James, we got some injuries to talk about, bruv. Before I start getting your opinions on Arsenal this season, which I'd love to do, I'm a little bit worried now because, again, we've had a lot of problems with our injuries over the last 12 months. And a lot of the excuses last season were that we just couldn't compete on all four fronts with the injury problems that we had. Now, we've actually had more injuries or as many injuries as we had last season, but you haven't noticed it because the squad's been so good, bruv, right? So when you look at the list of players that have missed, particularly in our attack, and Saliba's missed games and, Odegaard, stuff like that, I actually look at it now and think, yeah, there's a problem here because we've now potentially got 5 or 6 players that are doubts for the weekend that have already been out for quite some time, on top of 2 or 3 players that got knocks in the international break. And it has been confirmed, which is where we want to start, just on Gabriel. Could be out for 1 to 2 months. Now, David Ornstein is pretty good. People like him as a reliable source. And he's said that Arsenal are continuing to assess Gabriel amid concerns that he could miss 1 to 2 months through injury, which he sustained in the international duty. The initial indications suggest that the Arsenal centre-back is set for a spell out, but the tests are ongoing. Now, when David Ornstein says it's 1 to 2 months, he's not normally wrong, and it's 1 to 2 weeks. The bottom line is he's definitely going to miss these handful of games, I believe. That is a big blow, bruv. Let me just tell you why I think this is a big blow. Not just because he's a great defender and one of our best players. He's absolutely pivotal and vital to how we've been playing. In terms of our set piece success, I think just him, not just from scoring, he's actually only scored about 2 or 3 goals, I think. But his ability to actually flick it on and be that kind of monster colossus, defensively as well, by the way, is outstanding. But I truly believe this is going to affect us. Now, I don't think that it's not that we can't cover him for quality, because I think Mosquera and Nketiah and even Calafiori can all do that. But I don't think they're anything like, I don't think we've got anybody like him from set pieces, man. So is this going to have the potential to derail us for a few games, or are you quite confident Arsenal can deal without him? Because we did beat Real Madrid 5-1 without Gabriel last season.
Yeah, very true. Listen, this is a massive blow. A player of Gabriel's quality. And now let me say this about the squad. It's great to have a big squad. It is. But I don't know. Please correct me in the comments, the live chat. Let me know. Dan, come in and tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know a team that has won the title because basically their squad just rotated in and out and got them over the line. I've seen squad players. I've seen players come in and play a big part. Batshuayi winner at West Brom for Conte's Chelsea. Shaqiri doing a job for Liverpool. Whatever. You see squad players play a part, but fundamentally, the spine of a team, and 9 out of the 11 players are ever present. And at the moment, Arsenal are dealing with constant changes in that team. And it must be so frustrating. Yes, we've got a great squad. And I do believe it's probably the best squad in the league. I do think that. And I think we can handle a month or 2 without Gabriel. But it's not just about a month or 2 without Gabriel. It's the accumulation of injuries. Because if we go into this North London derby without Gyokeres, without Gabriel, without Martinelli, without Odegaard, without Madueke, without Havertz, without Jesus, maybe not even Calafiori, that's a lot of players missing. And a few of them in there, like Gabriel, like Gyokeres, like Odegaard, form a part of the spine. So we're capable. We're a very capable side. We can keep winning games without Gabriel, but I do fear at what point does it start to really take its toll on the season? Now, I don't mean to be super pessimistic about it. I just think, title winners have kept their players fit largely. You've had that little bit of luck. I think that matters. And when you're coming up against Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland, it can be the fine margins that make a difference sometimes. So I'm concerned. If I'm really honest, I am concerned. I think for this game, I've seen people in the chat saying Nketiah, now's your time. I don't think he'll go the Nketiah route. I think he'll go Calafiori if he's fit. and then he'll play one of Nketiah or Lewis-Skelly at left back. I think Calafiori is just a more known quantity at centre back in a partnership rather than in a back three. So that's probably
how Mosquera. He's got Mosquera previously. If you remember, when Gabriel hasn't been there, he's gone Saliba and Mosquera. And there was a time when Saliba was out. I think he went with Mosquera and Gabriel, and then obviously made that mistake at Newcastle. But I think Mosquera has been kind of the wild. Nketiah's kind of come a bit later and was kind of formed a little bit like after his injury. But I think we've got options there now. It's not about, oh my God, who are we going to put there? I think it's about how are we going to miss Gabriel? I think that's the kind of thing. It's the actual attributes of Gabriel we'll miss, as opposed to, we'll have to just use someone there who's not really a centre-back, which is what we tried to kind of had done before, James. Not long ago, we were putting Timber there or Ben White there, or we were trying to put someone shifty over. Tommy Asu when he was fit, which wasn't much. We used to play him in the centre at some games. So I've seen, us try to make do before, and it hasn't been great. This is not what we're doing now, but I just feel like we're so into the attributes of Gabriel that we're going to miss him. And I'll go one further. I actually think there is a genuine problem now, because I can go through the best 11 that we've got. And in fact, I can go through the squad players as well, some of which aren't even here anymore. I think all of them have had a long-term out. Like literally all of them had some form of spell. Whether you look at Timber getting an ACL, whether you look at Ben White, who hasn't been really 100% fit for, I can't remember the last time when he was 100% fit. Tommy Asu, of course, had problems and ended up leaving. You've had Saliba, who went out, and really and truly, by replacing him with Rob Holding, we missed out on a title because Saliba was out for that long, from January to like the end of May. Gabriel's had a grade 3, and now he's had a groin injury. It's going to keep him out for another 2 months. Calafiori, when could hardly keep fit last season. That's just the back line. Then you go into the forward line, and of course we've got Havertz with a grade 3. You've got Saka with a grade 3. Jesus, how many ACLs has he done? I mean, he needs to be an octopus with the amount of knees he's been screwing, right? So I think there's a genuine issue at Arsenal. Madueke looks like he's doing really well. Boom, injured. Erdegaard, free shoulder. I mean, I said he's playing head, shoulders, knees, and toes, this guy. I mean, he's getting literally injured the whole time. So I'm looking at it now thinking, is there actually a genuine concern or issue here that we're not seeing? And I'm not saying it's Mikel Arteta, before the people in the chat start going mad. I genuinely do think there's something there, because I don't think you can have this amount of serious injuries. You get niggles, James. Of course you do. You come back from international, you got a groin. Okay, 2 weeks, you're out. These are like, he's out. Oh, what? Yeah, but he's out for 3 months. What? How? How is another Arsenal? I don't see this happening at other clubs, if I'm honest with you. And I genuinely think that needs to be investigated now, James.
Yeah, and it's like, it is, Dan. Like, I think we're all very aware that we have our fan channels and we speak about footballers, even though we've never been footballers. But the difference is, at least we've somewhat kicked a ball, and at least we've somewhat watched our club all our lives. I have no idea about, the medical side of things, the physical side of things for player management and things like that. So part of me goes, well, there must be something behind the scenes that isn't right, because why are we getting more than other teams? It could be bad luck, but look at the different hurdles that look at the different hurdles that could be getting in the way, or let's say that could be tripping players up when it comes to injury. So we talk about the amount of football they're playing. We talk about the training regime. We talk about not just the amount of football they're playing in terms of the 90 minutes. I'm talking, playing internationals, flying here, there, and everywhere. Then you talk about the intensity of the games they're playing. Are they a high pressing team where, there are more sprints in the side? Therefore, there is kind of more load on the muscles. And then there's how are they looking after themselves? I'll give you an example, right? I'm not mad at Gabriel for playing this game for Brazil, but some Arsenal fans have suggested, if you were training separately from the group, maybe don't make yourself available for the friendly. Now I don't know. He might have felt absolutely fine. It might have been genuinely a case of, I'm just managing my training. That's a sensible thing to do. And the injury in the game was just unfortunate anyway. But there's just kind of so many layers of which players could get. There's so many things to point at. And yeah, maybe the medical advice isn't great. I have no idea. I just know that it's got to be something they look into, because, the whole point of having a bigger squad was that we could rotate players so that this wasn't as much an issue. But we're still having an incredible amount of injuries. We're just so, not lucky. I mean, Berta and Arteta have worked hard, and the Cronkies, to be fair, to build a squad where we don't feel it as much. but we will feel it eventually. This cannot go on all the time, and we just never. We just sort of carry on. It's not a problem. It will be. It will eventually catch up to us. So I was really hoping that we're going to have pretty much a fully fit squad for the North London derby. Right, bam, everyone's ready to go. But no, there's kind of, more things have popped up. I'm reading that Kai Havertz, he's had a slight setback in his. I think Julian Nagelsmann confirmed that Havertz is expected to be back playing by the end of the year. I mean, Havertz, they were hoping it was going to be 2 months. It's totaling 3.5, 4 months now. I mean, what's going on? I find it so strange. So, and also it's the manner in which these injuries are happening, because Kai Havertz came on against Man United and then came off. Suddenly we hear, he's got a knee problem. And you're thinking, oh my word, like I didn't even notice this in game. Or it will be, Ødegaard getting the knee problem, coming back on the pitch to play it out, ends up coming back off. The other one is Madueke, looking good against Man City, comes off at half time. We're thinking, okay, there's a tactical one from Arteta. No, turns out it's a 2-month knee injury. I'm thinking, what the hell? How has this happened? It's been really, really strange to watch. I've got to be honest.
It has. It's been worrying. I think when you look at the playing time and how the fact we've been overplaying in a few years, I think you can look at that, and I think that's definitely a factor, particularly with Bukayo Saka. Did Bukayo Saka last season need to play against Preston when we're 3-0 up? Probably not. He didn't really need to be starting against Bolton in the Carabao Cup. I don't think Gabriel really needed to play in the 7-1 victory. We won 7-1 in the second leg against PSV, and then he goes down against Fulham after that. And he gets, so there's definitely a question mark with management there. I also think, though, that when it is happening internationally and it's happening in games, you do have to look at training, James. You have to look at the intensity of training. Now, I've got nothing wrong with Mikel Arteta telling everybody to give 110% in training, because that's what it should be, genuinely. It should essentially be, you're working hard in training, you're giving your all, I'm putting you on the pitch. But I don't think that when you're in Dubai relaxing, you should be intensely going absolutely mad so your hamstring is hanging off the bone. That's just not something that I think should do. And that goes down to the fitness staff as well as Mikel Arteta, by the way. That's not just all on Mikel, right? So I do think there is a genuine worry. Now, people might be listening to this that aren't Arsenal fans, or maybe they are Arsenal fans. I think, oh my God, these two are moaning and making excuses already. I'm not actually making excuses. I'm just I'm just kind of making the question of, I'm not excusing the fact that, we can't win anything because we've got injuries. I actually do think we still can compete because the squad should be there now. I don't think there's any excuses anymore about injuries. But what I will say is, why are we getting these injuries? That's what the question we're asking. Why are we getting so many that are out for months as well? It's not like a niggle. And, I genuinely do think it's fair to ask that question now, because
it's completely fair, mate.
Mate, we've had this for, what do you reckon, 2.5 years? I've seen this now, where we've said, he's out with an ACL. He's out with a knee. He's got a grade 3 hamstring. He's got a 2-month shoulder injury. Merino's coming. He's got concussed, and now he's got a shoulder fit. How many times are we going to see this, man? Like, Gabriel being out for 2 months, that means we're not going to see him till the new year. And you mentioned Havertz here, right? And I'll read out the quote exactly what Nagelsmann had said. Havertz has had a minor relapse on his knee injury, but is doing very well overall. He's expected to return to playing towards the end of the year. I mean, end of the year. So we're not going to see him till January, really, are we? Let's be real. We're probably going to see him around the Christmas period. So this is not like, oh my God, they're all back. I was told by journalists, you're going to have all of them back by the North London derby. They might not all start, but they're all going to be available, and everyone's getting excited. Now it's like, we're not sure if Madueke is all right. Martinelli, question mark. Timber and Calafiori will come on to, because they also got knocks in international break. We don't know if they're 100% fit, but it sounds like, more promising than Gabriel. And now we're being told that Gabriel and Havertz are knockbacks. Jesus, we might see him at Christmas. He might be sold. He might not. This is all very questionable now, James. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need them back, though, bruv, because they're strength in depth, man.
Well, also, so some people might sort of say, well, how many of them are first teamers? Yeah, how many would be in our starting 11, for example? I think Ødegaard would be. Otherwise, yes, I agree with we've had our back four intact pretty much. We've had, Gyokeres fit most of the season. So I agree, like most of the first 11 has actually been there. But I'm convinced we win that game against Sunderland if we're able to pull off Saka and bring on Madueke. I'm convinced if it's just even Havertz or Jesus leading the line instead of Merino. I know Merino scored 2 in Prague. I get that, but he's always been a very good finisher. He's not the all-round player that we need up front. It only takes one or two of those squad players and it can make a difference. And then you're talking about 2 more points. Now, I know that's ifs, buts, and maybes. And it's very easy for me to sit here in my gaming chair and just say, oh, yeah, if we had this, we'd have won. But I really think they can be the difference between, a couple points here and there. I think the fine margins, you need even these other players that we talk about as maybe not our favorite players, not the ones that are crucial to winning titles, but the ones that maybe are crucial to pick up an extra couple points here and there. And that list of players is huge, even if the list of players missing from the direct first 11 isn't quite as vast. But yeah, mate, we're all concerned because we don't want the story of our season to be injuries again. Last season, we were really poor. And I actually think as a fan base, we all pretty much talked about our shortcomings. We talked about our football. We talked about the lack of signings. We talked about and basically anything we were in control of. I think Arsenal fans were critical of last year. But the injuries were still a factor. Season before, we got to 89 points or whatever it was. Season before that, I know we kind of capitulated in 22-23, and I appreciate that. And that was probably a mentality issue thing more than anything. But it's still not ideal to lose Tomiyasu and Saliba in the exact same game. And you're thinking, if we're going to go toe-to-toe with Man City, can we not just do it with our best players available, ready to go? So that's the frustrating thing. And I felt like the one time
just on that point very quickly, that season, I remember we were playing Man City, and I remember there was one game we had where Partey and Saliba was out, and there was another game that Manchester City had where De Bruyne and Rodri was out, and then there was another game we had where I was thinking, I just want their 11 fit and our 11 fit, and let's just see who's best, 11v11. But like when you're going to the Etihad of Rob Holding at the back, they're going to slaughter us, right? I just want to see what we would have been like that back then. Even back then, we might not have won the league, even with our first 11, right? But I just wanted to see what it was like, and I kind of get like where you're coming from there, because we had to go to Anfield, and then Saliba goes down. We already didn't have an attack where Odegaard, was out, and we had no Saka at the time as well. So people forget that because, Arsenal lost. Yeah, but they actually didn't have their best 11 either, So I kind of agree with you. And look, I'm not making an excuse. Spurs have got a lot of injuries as well, by the way. I think they've got 12 players out as well, Spurs. So we go into this, we're not even we're in November just about. And we're looking at mid of November, and we're like, Tottenham and Arsenal have already got 12 injuries each. Like, what's going on here? It's just insane, James. It really is.
Yeah, no, it completely is. Well, question for you, Dan. What would be your solution to Gabriel being out? What would you look to do?
Yeah, it's a great question, really, because there is options now that we would not have before. Like last season, if Gabriel goes out, we're bringing in Kivior, and that is literally the only thing we can do. Whereas at least now, you can play Calafiori there, as you've mentioned, and Lewis-Skelly gets the nod, which is probably what I think he'll go with. Nketiah could come in at left-sided centre-back, and Calafiori can play left-back. Calafiori can play left-sided centre-back, and Nketiah could come left-back. Or we can play Mosquera there and keep everything else the same and go like for like. Something tells me he might go with that option of Mosquera, just because I think he's had more game time in those kind of Premier League games. Yeah. Obviously, Newcastle trusted him, Anfield trusted him. It would feel weird now to not trust him in a North London derby over those kind of at home. So I think he might go with Mosquera, but some people might say no, he's definitely not the option when you've got two left-sided natural players ahead of him in the ranks in terms of Nketiah and Calafiori. So I think he'll either go slot in Mosquera, or he will go with Calafiori left-sided centre-back and then Lewis-Skelly at left-back. But I'd love to get your thoughts on what you think he'll do as well, because it's easy for us to say what we do, but sometimes you've got to look at what Mikel will do, and I can never match that. So whenever I give I think this is what I would do, he never does it. Mikel Arteta never does it. He always goes and does something completely crazy, right? And most of the time, to be fair to him, I've never always been 100% convinced, but it works out better than how I thought it would. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it, man. It's a great question.
Yeah, it's so difficult in the mind of Arteta, because part of me agrees with you in that he might just go Mosquera, keep it like for like, in the sense that one centre back out, another centre back in, and Nketiah has started outside of the Carabao Cup game. His football's been at left back for Arsenal. Lewis-Skelly's a left back. Calafiori, if he's fit, he might just want to keep his first choice left back in there, and therefore just go for Mosquera, who's played at centre back a few times already. So he might see that as the fewest amount of changes, or the least disruption to the 11, which I could understand. My fear is Arteta plays left-footed centre-backs and signs left-footed centre-backs for a reason. It's the areas of the pitch that they wander into. So I think he'll be very reluctant not to play another left-footed player there. So he's got two. He's got Calafiori or Nketiah. Two very good options, may I say. I mean, the two of them cost £80 million or whatever. So, for me, I think he's got to pick his favourite of the two and go with that. The problem is, if you go Nketiah at left centre-back, then you're done. One in, one out, and you try and keep it moving. But Calafiori, like I said, Nketiah played all his football, if I'm not mistaken, as a left centre-back in a back three. And with that, he was given a lot of license to get up and down at Leverkusen under Alonso. So it makes me wonder whether you play him at left back and Calafiori centre back. Now, Calafiori can step into midfield as he's done before, or he can tuck into that left channel, which he's comfortable in, and then Nketiah can bomb up the pitch. Also, you've still got the kind of 4 centre backs thing, so that kind of fits with what Arteta likes to do. But I mean, look, Arsenal are very privileged to have a situation in which they lose a player as good as Gabriel, and we can call on Nketiah, Calafiori, Lewis-Skelly, Ben White, Christian Mosquera. All of these players could be solutions to the problem. That's brilliant. Well done. Very good squad building, Arteta and Andrea Berta. Fair play. But if you want to win the title, there'll be certain players that are fundamentally irreplaceable. And I think Gabriel is that for us. I think there are players who can come in and do a good job, but I think he is fundamentally irreplaceable. Now, some will say, what about last year? Kivior came in against Real Madrid. I say, okay, fine, fair enough. But we weren't a threat. It sounds so silly. We weren't a threat on set pieces against Real Madrid or PSG. And that might have been the difference. That is a weapon of ours, that we can do that. So, suddenly they're not having to deal with probably the biggest aerial threat in world football in Gabriel right now. I mean, deadly serious. I don't know if there's many players who you worry about more from a set piece in terms of attacking balls into the box. In world football, Gabriel might be the best at that. So that is something less you've got to throw at teams, not just trying to defend. Turkish always says this, that Arteta's structure is probably more. How do you say it? Okay, let me phrase it because I don't want to put the wrong words in Turkish's mouth. There's an argument to say that it's Arteta's structure that is the key to the success of our defense. The players are very, very good. Rice, Zubimendi in front of Saliba, Gabriel is brilliant. But it's the structure, it's the way they're coached. It's everything about the system that, makes them shine too. So I think defensively, we might be okay. Yeah, you want Gabriel against Harry Kane and all that, but Calafiori is a good player, and Nketiah is a good player, Mosquera is a good player. But it's also what you're throwing the other way. And we lose something from attacking threat, which is crazy to say, to worry about a lack of goals when your centre-back gets injured. But we might lose something in terms of that threat without him. And that's a problem.
It's a huge problem. We will miss that as a threat, without a doubt. But I tell you why more and more I'm thinking about it is he's going to go with Mosquera, is because of the injury problems. Now, hear me out. I think that there is a lot to be said about how you end the game, not who you start with. So who you end on the pitch with, as opposed to who your starting 11 is. And I think he will utilise Lewis-Skelly at the moment with the players who've got out more as a company we can bring on. And that's why I don't think he'll play Calafiori at left back and Lewis-Skelly at left back. Now, he could play Calafiori there and Nketiah at left back. But I think what he does in his mind is he sees Calafiori and Nketiah as a lot more athletic moving forward and can also give us a lot more moving forward than Mosquera. And I think what he might want to do is keep Mosquera in that kind of static defence role and allow your left back, whether it be Calafiori or Nketiah, to move forward. Now, we don't know 100% that Calafiori is fit for this one. We believe he is. Yeah. We hope that he is. So that just gives me more kind of thought that he will go with Mosquera instead of Gabriel to kind of come in for his injury. And then it will be one of Lewis-Skelly and Nketiah or Calafiori, depending on injuries, as to who plays at left back. And that's kind of why I believe he'll probably go with Mosquera, which I'm okay with, by the way. So if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to lose my mind. Why the hell did you put Mosquera in there? Because Mosquera's done pretty well. I know he had that mistake at Newcastle, which led to their goal. But other than that, he's rarely put a foot wrong, to be fair to him. So I think it's a good kind of deputy.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. I hadn't thought of that, which is, you're right. Calafiori and Nketiah might be left-footed, but they're much more gallopers up and down the pitch. Gabriel isn't given that role in the team. He covers in wide areas, but he's not getting up and down anyway. Even Saliba we saw step into midfield in Prague, but Gabriel's never given a different role. It's, protect this half of the pitch, cover your teammates, lead the team. Mosquera is the closest in terms of like I don't want to say steady Eddie because that's so insulting, but the steady like
positionally,
yeah, position absolutely. So that's so interesting. I never thought of it that way, and you might be right. I think more than ever, without getting too nerdy about it, I do think angles and passing lanes, all these things matter to players more than ever, especially because coaches are drilling it into them like this pass leads to this pass, which leads to this move, and everything feels more coached than ever before. So Mosquera, when Mosquera receives the ball from Raya, right centre back, his first touch opens up the pitch. If he's doing that from left centre back, when the ball's coming to him, he takes that first touch with the left foot. His angles are he has to pass towards the touchline or hope that there's a nice punch forward, or he's taking another touch to take him back inside. But it's little things like that I think these are the little pressing triggers that the opposition are working on. These are the little things like there's a reason that players curve their runs when they press. It's to force a team going another way. Now they'll look at Mosquera and go, brilliant. He's not left-footed. So let's force him to play long balls with his left foot, or let's force him to play the ball into the touchline where we can press them more easily. That's what I worry about. Someone like Galafiori could maybe take that ball, go, oh, it's not on. I can carry with this. Or I take the first touch, but because I'm left foot, I'm more comfortable. The angles are better. And it sounds, again, I know I'm sounding very pedantic and nerdy about it, but I really do think it matters. And Mosquera, I think, might be looked past this game because of the simple fact he's not left-footed. Now, I know that's not mattered in the game before. It probably matters in the last 5-10 years than it has ever. But I think that might be what gets in his way.
Yeah, you might be right. And I don't think any of us know what Mikel Arteta's 11's ever going to be. There's always one in there, at least sometimes two, where you try and guess it and you go, oh, I got that wrong. Yeah, he obviously knows something I don't. And I kind of feel like I'm lost as to where we're going to be at the weekend. But look, I want to move quickly to Gyokeres because there's obviously huge doubts about himself as well. And I do feel like at the moment with Havertz and Jesus out on top of Gyokeres, who's a huge doubt, it's going to be Mikel Merino again. Now, look, I don't mind Mikel Merino up front. In fact, I'll go on further. I actually prefer him up front than I do in midfield. I think he gets a little bit lost sometimes, a little bit invisible in there. I don't think his athleticism is his biggest attribute, and I think that sometimes lets us down in that box-to-box role. But what I will say about Merino is there's no doubt that he's a threat in terms of goal. It's a goal threat, and aerially he's fantastic. I kind of feel like we're going to go with him. I don't see that there's anything else. The only thing he could do is use, if Martinelli's back, maybe Martinelli and Trossard and Saka as a front three, but I just don't think that he'll do that. I think it will be Merino. This again is a massive shame, James. Not just because, there's another player injured. I genuinely believe the best game I've seen Gyokeres play was his 45 minutes against Burnley. And he's not played since then. He didn't look injured. Crazy, he came off, and I thought this is going to be a really good second half for Gyokeres. He's looking great. He scored, and he's best player on the pitch, and he didn't come back out. And then we're told he's out for a while, and he's still not back for this game, they don't believe 100%. And even if he is back, he's hardly going to play because he's not 100% fit. So this is a big, big worry for us as well, because at the moment, he's the one that everybody's talking about. Oh, Gyokeres has been coming to Arsenal for scoring goals. I feel like it's going to be Merino, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that, bruv.
Yeah, just very quickly, Sophie in the comments says that Mosquera played left centre-back at Valencia, and yeah, she's right. I don't know the details of the tactics for Valencia. I just know that our left centre-back has to go very wide and has to be a big part of build-up. I worry a little bit about, Mosquera in that role. But answering your question, and big up to Hand of Arsenal, because I did a news piece reacting to his update saying that Gyokeres is a doubt. Now, Hand of Arsenal wouldn't say whether my theory is right or wrong.
Big up to you, bro.
He's brilliant at what he does.
Unbelievable. Like, so good. Yeah. Big up to Hand of Arsenal, man.
All I'll say is, if Gyokeres were fit and good to go, I would want Tottenham not knowing whether he was. That's the only thing I'll say. So when things like the Gabriel stuff came out from today, I think, that's pretty concrete, right? They think it's a minimum 4 weeks. They're making it quite clear. Don't expect him anytime soon, but we'll let you know the extent. The Gyokeres one, I mean, I imagine he is a doubt. That's interesting as well about the
Yeah,
Havertz
very.
news.
Sorry, I just quite before I lost that, I wanted to just try it because that's very interesting. Because these quotes have come from Nagelsmann, right? I lie.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
you're right.
again, let's listen to what Arsenal was saying about it. Big up to Hand of
Yeah,
Arsenal, man. Sorry, James.
yeah,
Don't
always,
continue.
always.
Sorry, you were saying about Gyokeres. Go on.
Well, I mean, I just theorized that Gyokeres. It's funny, and I want to say this really carefully. Big up to Hand of Arsenal, who's brilliant. But I knew this morning that Gyokeres was a doubt. We all knew that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, we all knew that
yeah.
Gyokeres was a doubt. The fact that it's been kind of that they've told us again, that now Hand of Arsenal's told us again, almost makes it feel like there's some kind of setback or that it's worse news or whatever. Now that might be true. That may well be the case. But I still remain kind of hopeful because, again, if I were Mikel Arteta, I'd want Tottenham thinking he's not available, or I'd want them constantly second guessing because Gyökeres is a different threat to Merino.
Yes.
Merino drops into midfield a lot more, tries to combine a lot more. I actually think struggles to do it, but attacks the ball in the box in a different way. Gyökeres is a channel runner. He stretches the back four. You're preparing for two very different players, and I'd want Tottenham agonizing over that. Is it going to be Gyökeres or is it going to be Merino? So I wasn't as deflated about the Gyökeres news because I just think it's Tuesday the 18th. The game's on Sunday. We still have quite a while to hear everything. It may well be that he is basically unlikely to make it, ends up not playing, and that will be a massive blow. But it hasn't kind of hit me in the way the Gabriel news did, because Gabriel is huge for this spell of games. Whereas Gyökeres, I'm pretty confident from what we've been reading and hearing, will be back soon. And I'm hopeful still that it'll be for Tottenham. How do you feel about it? I mean, you said you'd go Merino up front. It's funny because Merino's a very good finisher, but I'm still quite underwhelmed by him in terms of his overall game up front. And to be honest, I shouldn't be underwhelmed. He's a midfielder playing up front. He's our fourth choice. He's doing it as a favor to us. But
yeah, I kind of see it. I kind of see it a bit differently, and I'll tell you why. Because I think I don't see it differently in terms of you're a midfielder playing up front. Because I actually don't know that he is a deep line midfielder. Like people say, oh, we played 3 defensive midfielders against Liverpool, and I never really saw Merino as a holding midfielder. He's never played that for Arsenal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't actually. Do you know what? I don't actually mind seeing what Merino could do in that kind of just off, because I actually think that's where he plays. I actually think that is his position, bruv. Like if he was to play in that kind of not a 10, but like a just off the striker, like we used to have like Bergkamp and Henry. I know we haven't got that anymore, but if they was to play like just off of the striker, that would be for me where Merino could play, right? So I look at the job that Merino has done, and I solely look at what he's done, and I do believe. This might not be a massive compliment to Merino, to be fair. I do believe that the injuries to our strikers has allowed us to actually like Merino a little bit more. Because like when he's been in midfield, and if he would have continued to play in midfield, I genuinely think people might have gone, I don't even know if he's an upgrade on El Neni in midfield. Like, I genuinely don't think that's a hard thing to say. But the fact that we can now talk about his goal against Real Madrid and talk about the fact that he set up Saka at the Bernabeu and talk about the fact that he scored 2 goals against Leicester, where it gives us a little bit of revival. He's come on against Champions League sides and played against them and scored 2 goals. And I'm like now thinking, yeah, we talk about Merino. Let me give you an example. If I said to you, think of Mikel Merino in an Arsenal shirt, you're not thinking about in his performances in midfield where he's just like kind of seen out the game for us, are you? You're thinking about the moments that he scored goals against for us, right? So I think that's kind of where I'm at with Mikel Merino. And I think that's why I like him up top, because he can actually offer us something that I think that we don't have when some of the other players aren't there. And I think that he is the best option. The only thing I would suggest maybe that we do in this game is if it doesn't really work, and we probably, depending on how long Victor Gyokeres is out for, bruv, we might have to do this for a couple of games if he's out for more than 1 or 2 games. Maybe we should try the Trossard and Martinelli thing. The Trossard Martinelli Saka thing in some point of the game. So we don't have Merino up the whole for them 90. Like, it's not really working, but we can't really bring on anybody. Let's try Martinelli through the middle for like half an hour. Let's just see what it does. Maybe we start him Martinelli through the middle against Bayern Munich if we want to try it out. I'd like to see us try and do something like that, because it can't just be we're back to Merino up front as the answer the whole time if it doesn't work, because it does for some people. It doesn't for others. And I just feel like there needs to be more than just, because we're getting these injuries in the same positions, bruv. Like we did it last year, and we're in November and we're back to Merino up front again, and it's crazy.
I never loved the Merino up front solution, even when he was scoring goals, even when he did well at the Burnabout. I always, to this day, thought the best version of a makeshift striker for me has been Trossard as a false nine. Now, I know that we've tried at times and it's not worked, but in 22-23, we were great with Trossard in the false nine.
Agreed.
And Martinelli and Sakho either side. So I'd be inclined to do that. Could even try Eze in the false nine. This might sound nuts. You could even try Sakho in the false nine. Why not? He scores goals. He's really strong. Got a good leap on him. Shoots left foot, right foot. I'd rather our forwards sorted the forward dilemma. So soon, let's say Gyokeres is out for a couple more weeks, but soon, Madueke, Saka, Martinelli, Eze, Trossard, these players are going to be available to play. If we don't have an out-and-out nine in Jesus, Havertz, or Gyokeres, I'd turn to one of those players to do the job, not Merino, just because he's 6'2" and's got a good left foot. That's not enough for me. So, yeah, I don't want to see too much more of Merino. He might not have a choice this weekend. He might genuinely not have a choice. But I don't want to see too much more of Merino up front. It's just so frustrating, North London derby, with the squad we've got, that we're talking about Merino playing up front again. That impacts others, because against Palace, when we were 1-0 up, Declan Rice is all over the place. We took him off when he got a slight knock to bring on Merino, and we were able to just inject some energy and some fitness back into our midfield. So I know what you mean about Merino's kind of not looking like a stellar midfielder, but he does something in terms of keeping everything ticking in there, especially when someone like Declan Rice is tiring. Now we can't do that. You can turn to a Norgard, but he's reluctant to do that against Sunderland. So, yeah, I hate that this is kind of where it's got to now, where the injuries have pushed us to this point. But there's enough talented players in that forward line. We just need one or two more of them back for me to feel like, look, we don't need to go for Merino up front. There's enough solutions. If Ødegaard returns, I'd rather we went Eze, Trossard, Saka as the front three. If Madueke returns, I'd rather we went Trossard, Saka, false nine, and Madueke on the right, or Trossard up front, Madueke on the left. I'd rather we found those solutions than go, cool, good, we've got some depth out wide, but let's just keep chucking Merino up front, hoping he does it.
Yeah, and you are right. Look, I said that I think Merino does a lot more than Kai Havertz. Some people disagree. I think in terms of does a lot more than Kai Havertz. Sorry, is a better option up front than Kai Havertz. I think Kai Havertz does a lot more than Mikel Merino, but I just think he's a better finisher. I've just got to be honest. I just think
Merino's a better finisher. I agree with that. I genuinely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think off the ball, Kai Havertz might do more. And in terms of what he does, I think Kai Havertz is sometimes one of those players you don't always notice what he does. But certainly for me, when you look at the ability in front of goal, Merino, I think, lives in dead in the water in terms of his finishing, right? So that's why I've always said put the best finisher up front, which is why I've agreed with the Trossard thing, because that is one thing that I will say about Trossard. And I know that he has missed chances for Arsenal, but I would say over the last 2-3 seasons since we signed him, he's probably been one of our best finishers one-on-one. So, I think that's a really good shout about playing him there. Let's go to just in general before we go into this kind of game. So we've got a few days, to be honest, before that kind of gets some. And I think the Arteta press conference, I know people are talking about it. I genuinely don't think we'll have any more idea once we've listened to him. I genuinely still think we'll be waiting there thinking, did we get anything from that? Like, who's starting then? I think we'll be a bit like that. So I wouldn't get your hopes up on hearing much from that. But yeah, I might be wrong. But look, the way we've been playing, I wanted to mention another couple of players, but just in general, the way that we've been playing this season has been mocked by rivals again about set piece FC, Stoke FC stuff, right? But I genuinely feel like there's a little bit of a different feel this season, James, even from those that have doubted Mikel or those that have doubted what Arsenal can do and how we can get across the line. And I do think it would be absolutely criminal if Arsenal don't win a trophy this season. Like, with this side, this squad deserves to win a trophy now. It's just, it's crazy. And I think that we will. Now, what I'll say is, I think the defense is outstanding is an understatement, if I'm honest, about how good we've been defensively as a team. I think the work rate's always kind of been there. I think you've had to work hard to get into this side and keep your place. So I've not really been like, wow, this work rate is outstanding, because I think we've always kind of been there. It probably has gone to a different level this season, but defensively, I've been so impressed and how we defend. And I think Mikel Arteta deserves a massive amount of credit for that, because he has definitely got that team working into that system. But I think the biggest improvement I've seen, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, right, is the midfield. Now, Zubamendi's come in, and some people still aren't quite sure about whether he's a huge upgrade on Thomas Partey. I personally think they're completely different players. But I will say this. I think the introduction of Zubamendi has not just been quite good because he's a good player. I think it's taken Rice to a new level. Now, I believed that Declan Rice was a box-to-box midfielder and was better in the 6 than the 8. I never thought he could be an advanced Frank Lampard or a Steven Gerrard or a Kevin De Bruyne or a David Silva, but I certainly believed he could be a Patrick Vieira, which is basically someone who does that. And that's what he does, mate. He covers every blade of grass. He's a machine. And I genuinely think that he's been one of the biggest improved players. And that's mad to say because how good Declan Rice is. He's actually been one of my most improved players along with Calafiori this season because I genuinely do think that guy now does everything. And I think he was going missing a little bit in the 8, in the attack advanced 8, if you can call it that. I mean, you know positions better than me. And I do believe that although he had great games against PSV away last season, Man United away, he was great. I know we didn't win the game, but he was superb. Real Madrid, he was fantastic. I just think he's been brilliant in pretty much every game this season because he's doing everything back here and everything up there as well. And I think that's the biggest improvement that I've seen from the team, that midfield. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it, man.
I love what he's doing because he's playing with the game in front of him rather than, or let me say it another way. He's playing facing the goal he's attacking rather than with his back to it. He's not trying to get the ball in the half space and then show some trickery to then have to turn and face the game up. And in that double pivot with Zubamendi, do you know what? You know the word scary's thrown around, Dan, when it comes to Arsenal. I think maybe not the word scary, but I think one thing that rivals, because look, I've been a little pessimistic with the injuries and things like that we've talked about on the show. One thing I'm really hopeful and excited about, and I do think this is something that rivals should think, oof, I hope this doesn't come too soon. I think the day Ødegaard returns, I think that midfield is going to go up another level. And it's not because I think Ødegaard's better than Eze, and it's not because I think Ødegaard is, last season he was poor, let's be honest. I don't think it's because you're going to inject a player of his quality and suddenly everything explodes. I think he is such a wonderful complement to Declan Rice and Zubamendi in the way that the three of them can all float. Zubamendi gets much further forward than Thomas Partey ever did. Like much further forward. But he also drops to right back in build up. He drops between the centre backs in build up. He receives in the pocket. He tries to get on the end of moves. Against Sunderland, he hits the crossbar and then he's the one charging into the box to try and get on the end of a Trossard pass. You see the goal he scored for Spain the other day. That's him taking it on the half turn and scoring, advanced up the pitch. Now, when teams aren't sure if it's going to be Ødegaard, Rice or Zubamendi making that run, peeling beyond, or either one of those three dropping to get the ball off the centre-backs or pulling wide to combine with the wingers. When it could be any one of those three, I think it unlocks a completely different way of Arsenal playing. It will be a lot of the good football we've seen this season, but times 2 or 3. I really think we'll go up a few levels when those three are able to play together. And I think the reason I'm so confident is because all three of them have shown that they're comfortable in all phases of the game. Declan Rice, you've mentioned there, he's comfortable receiving off the back four. Is he Rodri? No, we don't need him to be Rodri. We need him to be top 3-4 players receiving the ball, off the back four and trying to play through the press. He can do that. Zubamendi, we know, can do that. But all of them as well, when in and around the penalty area, can do something. Rice has got a great strike at goal. We know he can pick out a great cross. He can attack the back post. Ødegaard, we know, can make things happen. He's got that moment of magic in him. And Zubamendi's shown he's got a little bit of everything too. So the reason I think you're right. I think he is weirdly improved, but in that he's just showing a different side to his game, which is quite nice. Maybe he showed a little bit of this at West Ham, but I just think you're seeing like a very complete Declan Rice. He's not being shoehorned into the 6 where he can't go forward, or the left 8 where he's having to sit really high. He's in a double pivot, and the 2 with hopefully Ødegaard when he returns, I think will rotate so much, and they'll all pop up in lots of different areas. And I think that's going to be a problem for teams if we can get them fit first and foremost. But
Facts.
I think that will be a problem for teams and will be as big as the forwards returning or keeping. I think that midfield 3 will really click and do things for Arsenal.
And you know what? It needs to.
It does.
It really does. Like Erdegaard himself, he needs to. Can someone get rid of this? In fact, I'll do it. There's a bot idiot in the chat.
Yeah.
Like for me, I personally do think Erdegaard is massive for him. And do you know what was frustrating, James? Again, a little bit like Gyokeres. He was so good against Olympiacos and West Ham. I was like, this is actually like frustrating me that you got injured because you were looking so good. And now you got injured again. So I agree with you. I think it will be a really important addition. I wanted to kind of segue on quite nicely onto Eze because he's been getting quite a lot of criticism from rival fans, people laughing. He was got absolutely belted the other day for England. He was absolutely brilliant goal.
I mean, Foden put it on a plate for him, to be fair.
What a pass that is, by the way. What a pass. That is an unbelievable pass. No, look, I've got to be honest with you, right? I looked at Eze's performances, right? And when I look here at the contribution from Eze, it's kind of been there. Like he set up Martinelli, didn't he, for the Man City goal, which was an excellent ball over the top, by the way. He set up Gyokeres, I think, against what was it? Against Forest, wasn't it? That was an excellent piece of play where I thought he had a really good game against Forest, funny enough. And then you had the Eze performance where I know it was only Port Vale, but he did score the goal. Cup, and he scored the goal against Palace as well, against his old club, right? So there has been some goals and assists that Eze's been a part of. I've not been one that's gone, oh my God, what the hell, I was expecting more. But I've also been the kind of one who's like, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit underwhelmed, but I kind of thought this was what he was going to do. I never, and maybe I got this wrong, and maybe I was completely on loan here, but I didn't look at Eze and go, Arsenal winning everything. This is an unbelievable signing, one that's going to take us from here to there. I kind of thought he's going to come in and do a contribution player. He's going to come in and do well. He's going to come in and be a little bit invisible in games like he was at Palace, but he will turn up in big moments like he did at Palace, and he will get us across the line if there is a need for him to come on and do so. That's kind of how I saw Eze. Now, I have been a little bit disappointed with some of his lack of contribution because although he has been contributing in game, he's not been as impactful and kind of clear as that. And I do think that he is better in the centre still than the left, but some people disagree with that. But I kind of been like, okay with Eze, and I kind of expected him to be a bit like this, but some people seem like, wow, he hasn't scored 12 goals yet. What's going on? And I just think we need to be a little bit more realistic with that signing because I appreciate it's 68 million, but I don't think it was a signing, James, that's absolute guaranteed starter that's going to take us to the next level. But maybe I'm wrong, bruv.
Yeah, it's so difficult because do you know who said it best? Was Jess. She knows Arsenal. She said that Eze is a low touch player. Erdegaard's a high touch player. You want Erdegaard to receive the ball, pass that move, keep going, get it received, keep moving. The bots are getting banned again. Good work. You know, Erdegaard is constantly pass and move, give it to me again. Right. Everything should flow through him. That's the kind of 10 he wants to be. Eze is more, you know, I'll play that ball over the top to Martinelli and get us the equaliser against City when nothing's happening. I will find the acrobatics to put the ball in the back of the net against Palace and win us a crucial 3 points. He's more moments. That doesn't take from how intelligent a player he is or how, you know, whether he's got that ability to play a killer pass and win us a game through his passing and his creativity. He's got all that. But he is someone who floats in and out of games a little bit and has moments here and there. But the reason I think he was a game-changing signing for us, because I do think he's a game-changing signing for us, is that he's the kind of player who can decide a game when he's not at his best. And I didn't know how many players Arsenal had that could do that. I think Saka's one of them, maybe Trossard. I really couldn't think of many who could go, I'm having a bit of a stinker here, but I can still pull out that moment. And, you know, a lot of people were praising his performance against Palace, but I thought that Palace game was one of those. I thought he was really frustrating that Palace game.
Yeah.
Misplaced passes, some quite easy ones he got wrong, turning into trouble. Nothing was really coming off for him, but he had the acrobatics to put the ball in the back of the net and win us the game. And I look at that and I go, thank you. That's why we brought you in. Now, if with a few more months down the line, Erdegaard's on the bench, hasn't won a spot back, we're getting this from Eze, I'd be disappointed. But he's filling in as the 10. He's playing in the areas of the pitch he doesn't normally. We talked about angles, right? He's receiving the ball mainly in the half space, you know, towards the right, trying to combine with Saka, underlap a little bit. You want him in that left channel, either cutting in or receiving on the inside, where players are just committing and he's gliding past challenges, or he's winning fouls, or he's just finding little through balls, or he's getting shots at goal. That Trossard goal against Sunderland, Eze will score that 3, 4, 5 times in his time at Arsenal. He will find that bit of space, shimmy, get on his left foot and wallop it, top corner, far corner, whatever it might be. Those are the areas I want to see Eze in. Trossard's got the shirt right now and deserves it. But, that's the kind of player I think Eze will be. I don't think we'll reflect on him when he leaves Arsenal one day. I don't think we'll I don't think we'll talk about the great games he had, like we talk about Wilshere against Barcelona in 2011. I don't think we'll talk about those 90-minute games in which Eze was just unplayable. I think we'll talk about him for his moments and just those things he pulled out. And look, that pass to Martinelli is aging better and better every single week because it earned us a point, and without it, City would be 1 point behind us?
Yeah, they would.
So now we're 4 ahead because of that moment from Eze, or that goal against Palace. Again, we could have 2 points less. So we could only be 2 ahead of City. But, we've got that little cushion because of a moment from him. So I'm the same as you. Don't get me wrong. Do I want a general elevation in his performances? I do. But I think this is pretty much what we thought we were getting.
I agree.
Player who, at his best or not, can deliver moments.
I agree. And I think when you look at Eze coming in at 68 million, if you would have been telling me this is the guy who's going to be getting 15 goals and assists this season in the Premier League and another 15 on top of that, 30 GA like Saka does, I'll be looking at him now going, not sure he's going to do that, Not sure he's that kind of guy. But I don't think that we were buying him for that. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe Arteta thought he was going to do that. But I genuinely believe that Ødegaard was going to start. I genuinely believe that Rice and Zubimendi were going to be the two that they are. And I thought that Eze would be one of the guys that comes in and contributes when there's an injury, which basically is what he's done, whether it be from the left or centrally. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what's happening with his positioning and what's happening with his kind of game time. I would like to see more. I'd like to see him score more. I'd like to see him assist more. But it's not like he hasn't done anything. And I think that when you look at somebody like Florian Wirtz, or when you look at like Mohamed Kudus, I think he's got 4 assists. And I don't know that he scored yet. Has he got 1 goal? And they're like hyping him up to be like unbelievable signing, 50 million. But really, you look at Eze, he's not far off what he's done, and people are actually criticizing what he's doing. So I don't think it's a thing to worry about too much at the moment, if I'm honest. I'd like to see him improve. And I think it'll be interesting as well, James, when Ødegaard comes, because I think LJ Brown was saying in the chat, big up to you, LJ. I was expecting to see Rice, Eze, and Ødegaard starting in games. We might see that in some games. It might be that Zubimendi gets a rest and we don't need to, let's say, Wolves at home play Zubimendi and Rice, because actually we can play one of those and have Eze and Ødegaard either side and go more of a kind of left attacking 8 for Ødegaard and maybe Eze in the 10, or maybe switch it round. We might see that as well. And I think that could be an option or opportunity for us moving forward. But right now, I think Ødegaard needs to come back in. And, Eze's kind of had his chance. He hasn't really kind of delivered massively, but he's been there to cover. And I think that Ødegaard coming in, he needs to step it up. Like, we need to see the Ødegaard from 22-23 when he comes back, bro. Big time.
So, I actually think the end of 23-24 was an even better version of Ødegaard. But
it's great.
Great. I do agree. It's so fun, isn't it? If we had to reel off all the narratives around Arsenal right now, it's set piece FC. They're not really that good. Gyokeres isn't all that. Eze is struggling at the moment. The injuries aren't so important. I'm just throwing what rivals might throw at us, right?
Yeah.
I sit there thinking, well, somewhere something doesn't make sense, because I'm meant to believe we're not that good, but we're 4 points clear of City with all the injuries we've got. With Gyokeres not playing very well, with Eze not playing very well. All these guys are playing better than we think, and maybe they're carrying Arteta. Or maybe Arteta's doing a brilliant coaching job. Or maybe we're playing better than people think, but we're just waiting for these players to click too. I don't know. But this idea that basically everything's actually wrong with Arsenal, but the results aren't showing it, we're just sort of quite lucky to be 4 points clear. I think Arsenal have been in third gear. Genuinely. I don't think we've really got out of third gear. I'm more worried about the injuries and the mentality of the team, not about the talent, the tactical ideas, the want and the hunger. All of that is there. The work ethic, we've got all those things. We've got almost every ingredient, bar maybe we lack the best player in the world, which Liverpool had with Salah last year. Not the best player in the world, but the best player in the league. City had this year with Haaland. We maybe lack that one element, and injuries could be a problem too. And like I said, mentality. But those are 2-3 things in what's probably ingredients list of 30 things you need to win the title. I think we've got the 27 others.
Mate, I totally agree, because some of the way that people talk, and I know it's rivals and they're not going to ever say, wow, Arsenal, well, some of them do. But like when you look at what we've got right now, people talking about those things you've just said, I'd think, yeah, Arsenal really needs to replace Mikel Arteta, because we're 8th in the league. We're set piece FC. We've got a rubbish striker we bought for a amount of money, and we've got Eze who can't kick a ball. This is horrendous. We need to get rid and start again. But I look at all those things and I think, well, we're 4 points clear, so I can't moan, because if that's how we're going to win the league, fine, just win me a damn trophy. I don't care if we win, how we win it. Do you know what I mean? If we end up winning the league by four points, let's say, James, where we are now, and this continues, I'm not going to look back and go, well, I can't celebrate really, because I didn't really appreciate the set pieces that we scored. I'm going to be like, well, let's just celebrate it and enjoy we won the league, right? So there's obviously a way and a style you want to win the league. I think everybody wants to do it the Pep or Klopp way, right? But sometimes you do it the Conte way, or the Simeone way, or the Mourinho way. And if we have to do it the George Graham way, I grew up on that and it was calm. I wasn't complaining about that football back then. So I would argue that he's taken similar attributes to George Graham. I don't think he's that level anywhere near, but I do look at what he's done, and I do look at the defense that he's built, and think that's obviously the route he went down, which is actually quite surprising when you think of Mikel Arteta, because he grew up on Arsene Wenger football. He was coached by those he was obviously good friends and learnt off of Pep Guardiola and the guys that he played with. I think people forget sometimes, they obviously JJ Okocha, Ronaldinho, these players that you look at thinking, yeah, he's going to be an attack-minded manager, Mikel Arteta, but actually he's gone the other way and been a lot more David Moyes, George Graham. So I think that's kind of surprised us. But if that gets us to cross the line, James, I'm not going to complain. Let me do some of these super chats, and I've got one more question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
This one comes in from Netweed. It says, I've already made it clear I'm waiting on Allegri. Netweed is not a fan of Mikel, and he definitely does want Mikel replaced. And he's looking at Allegri, it seems. So
Allegri in 2025? Or is that what we're saying?
Well, it seems that way. He's definitely got the CV. Whether he's the right man for the job, I don't know. It wouldn't be my choice. I'd have Luis Enrique over him any day.
I'd have Luis Enrique.
Yeah, I'd have him tomorrow, mate. I think he's ridiculous. Yeah. Shaitanya, I can't rely on our best players all the time. We have a squad for a reason. True. It's about the time the bench players showed up in big games. This is their moment. And that's true, actually, that these players, we are like, injuries. But the squad players are like, right, finally, a chance. Players like Ethan, players like Mosquera, players like Nkapie, they have been knocking on the door, and it's their chance now. And, Eze's got the chance because Odegaard's out. And sometimes, Merino's had the chance to score those goals because Gyokeres has been out. And sometimes that does work well for us to see how good our squad really is. So I think that's a really good point. Where are we here? Netweed also says, no more excuses for Mikel Pulis. What does this say? All the positive politicians will delete their don't panic and the comments when Arteta dumps us in. The bridesmaids second again in May. Netweed really does believe that we are second again in May. So let's hope he's wrong. We've all been wrong before. Famous Court says Arteta rate players out of his first 11. Do you know what? I would have agreed with this for the last couple of seasons, but I don't know that I do now. I think that for the first time we've got a squad now where he actually does trust some of them. Do you remember before it was like, you've got to have to play Reece Nelson? No, I'm not going to. I have to put Vieira out there, or I have to play Eddie. He was not trusting some of his squad. And Sterling, like last season, I didn't like Sterling at all. In fact, I thought he was awful. However, it was like, he's your guy. Like, trust this guy. You clearly bought him because you know him. Like, you're not trusting him now. I do feel like he does trust the players a little bit more. I agree. To be fair, James, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think this is the season where I thought, yeah, he does. And I think he's shown that in how much more he's rotated this season. Some of it forced with injuries, but a lot of it has been his choice.
No, I agree. Cam says, love this duo. I hope you'll do more together. Big up to you, bro. Yeah, absolutely. James always work on here, man. And there's definitely stuff we're going to do in the future, without a doubt. So that's all good. But look, the last question I've got for you, James, is obviously the big one, which I think is our squad at the moment is strong. We're moaning about injuries, but really and truly, we've had injuries the whole season. We haven't really noticed it as much as perhaps we would have previously. Is this the year? And what I mean by is this the year is obviously people want majors. People would like us to take the domestics a lot more seriously than perhaps we have in the last few seasons. And I'm no different. I think we should take every competition seriously. I think we're going to win something this year because I just think we have to, bruv. The squad's way too strong not to. And I don't think that I can be honest to say that, well, because if we don't, there really isn't no well. It's like the squad's there. There is no excuses, Mikel. You've got everything that you need right now to deliver. And that's why I think this might be our year to win a trophy, James. What are you telling me?
Yeah, I think we will. I did a video somewhat controversially on my channel saying that I'm actually more confident after City closed the gap to 4 points. I'm more confident we'll win the league. And the base of that video was against Sunderland, where we were struggling. We weren't playing our best football. We didn't really have any hold of the game. Arteta made a few tweaks tactically, and suddenly we had them on the ropes. And that second half, I don't think it's exaggerating to say we could have had 3 or 4 goals in that second half alone. While I commend Sunderland massively for their spirit, some of the football they played, the problems they caused us, I actually think our performance was worthy of a win as well. I think if we'd won, people would have said, fair enough. I thought we were good enough for that. And that's the difference for me this season. Where we've dropped points in the past, I've sat there frustrated, tearing my hair out at injuries or lack of options or tactical inflexibility or terrible football. But I actually came out of the Sunderland game going, you know what? Sometimes that happens in football. We played good football. We asked questions of them. We could have had a third or a fourth quite easily. It didn't happen. That's annoying. Was the first half disappointing? Absolutely. It was disappointing, in a game where Saliba probably should have scored as well in that first half. Probably should have gone in 1-1. We struggled 45. That's the Premier League. There's good teams. So I sort of feel encouraged because I think it's not just the players and the squad's better. I think the ideas are better. I think this team look like they know what they're doing more. And that's just a feel. I don't know how to explain that. They just look like they're on it more. And, obviously when we kind of locked in at the end of 23-24, we look like, okay, yeah, this team sort of have locked in. They know what they're doing. But that was a 3-4 month patch in what has been, 5-6 years of Arteta. This is the first time really I think we started a season. We're getting towards Christmas and I'm sat there looking at the team going, yeah, I think they look really equipped for this. So I feel quite confident we'll win something. I don't know what that will be, but something.
I mean, look, it really does have to be the Premier League because I don't think we can afford to allow Liverpool to do what they're doing and Manchester City to be not the Manchester City of old, because I genuinely don't think they are. And not win it. I just don't think we can do that, and I think it will be Arsenal or Manchester City that wins the league. I don't think it'll be a Chelsea or a Liverpool or somebody else. I genuinely do think it's one of us two. And Manchester City, the Sharks. I mean, the Sharks been circling since week 1, by the way, not week 11, like people are saying. Oh my God, City are going to win it now. Well, Christ, they were only like 7 points behind us. Now it's 4. It's like, right, that's it. Arsenal are down and out. And I had so many messages. Oh, the Sharks are back. Well, the Sharks never went away in my eyes when they were 10 points behind us. However, I just don't believe that Manchester City can win it this year. I'll stay by that. I don't think they can. I do think they've got vulnerabilities. Yes, they've got an unbelievable manager. Yes, they've got Haaland, who's a machine. But they don't really, other than that, have much else. And I'll tell you why. Their top scorer is Doku with 1 after Haaland. Like, let's just be real. They have struggled to get a lot going. Now, they might change. Cherki might start banging. Doku might start delivering. Savio might finally get more than 1 goal in his whole Manchester City career. It might happen, right? But I think the thing that would probably give me more question marks about Manchester City that they can do it or they could do it is that they haven't got a right back and they haven't got a left back, but they have because he's found one, right? He's found Nunez and he's found O'Reilly. They're not fullbacks that Manchester City want, but they're doing a job right now. And only Pep Guardiola can do that, by the way. Like literally only Pep Guardiola can do that. Donnarumma's made them more stable. I think defensively they look so much better with him in goal. When they had James Trafford, I was like, they ain't winning the league. It was obvious to me. I was like, they're nowhere near winning the league. And always say, he's a good goalkeeper. He's just not. He's just not in nowhere near that level, right? I think Vardy and Diaz are a brilliant partnership. But I've got to be honest, Man City could win the league. Of course they could. I don't think they will. I just don't think that they're the same Manchester City. So I think it has to be us. I think it has to be. And if they do win it, I think we have to discuss what happens to Mikel if it, unless we win something else like Champions League or one of the others. But I feel when we look at Manchester City, I'm not scared like I was genuinely scared a couple of years ago, James. Like that was ridiculous. But I don't know what you think about that.
I feel that way about City. I'd go probably a step better than you and say that I think they're capable of winning. Like, I know you're not saying they're not capable of winning the league. What you're basically saying is you don't think they're better than us.
Yes,
and I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I think they've got the ingredients to win the league, but I think we're better than them. But you know,
that doesn't always mean we're going to win it if we're better than them. But
sure, you know, my controversial take is, you know, when they beat us on the final day of the season in 23-24, I felt over that campaign we were the better side. And look, I don't think that's that crazy a take. There was a point in it, 1 point in it. But I felt we slightly had the edge on them. I thought when I just look at the football we played, when I looked at the whole campaign, but they were brilliant. They won their 4th in a row. The year before, they were treble winners. This year, the fact that I kind of struggled to say that, having finished 1 point behind them, this year I feel more confident in saying that. But when you've got Erling Haaland, Dan, this is maybe the greatest goal scorer the Premier League's ever seen.
I agree with that.
And maybe the pound for pound greatest manager the Premier League's ever seen. Maybe. Yeah. Now, I agree. I see so many weaknesses across the rest of their 11. But I say weaknesses by the standards set by Man City. Like, you don't need to get 97 points to win the title. Sometimes you should need 86. So they could be 10, 11, 12 points off their normal standard. That's 4 wins less and still win the title. So it's by the standards, the ridiculous standards that City and Pep have set over all those years. I don't think they are at that. I don't think they're anywhere near that. But they might not need to be to win the league. So I really think in previous years, when we haven't won it, I think it was fair to look at what others were doing to a degree. This year, if we don't win it, you never know what's going to happen. There's still another 6 months of football to play. But I think if we don't win it, I would be looking directly at us. What happened to us, or what did we do wrong? Where did it go wrong for us? But that's just how I feel. I could be wrong. That is not me disrespecting Man City. I think I've shown them a lot of respect there. But it more speaks to how much I rate what we've got this season.
No, I'm with you. If we don't win the league, I'm looking at us. I'm not looking at, well, Pep did this, or, well, Haaland's too good, or, well, Liverpool this. Yeah. I'm looking at what the hell happened to Arsenal. How did we not win this league? I genuinely will, because I think we've got the best squad. I think we've got the most balanced squad. We definitely got the most strength in depth. I certainly think we've got the best defence, which they say wins you titles. So I will, unfortunately, people don't like me doing it, James, I will be looking at one man and I'll be saying, are you the guy? Are you that guy? And if he goes and wins us the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, I'll say, well, you are, because you've got us across the line. If you go to the Champions League and go, yeah, we've won it, then of course I'll say you are the guy. But if you fail in the Champions League and you get to the semis again and you go out of the Carabao Cup quarterfinals or semi-finals, you can't get through and over the line in the FA Cup, and then you still can't get across the league. I don't know when we're going to do it, James, because I truly don't know. Everyone said, oh, when 22, 23, 8 points clear, if you don't win it this year, you never will. Next year, you go into the last game of the season, you don't win it this year, you never will. I'm genuinely like, well, if we didn't win it back then, and now we're saying this again, if you don't win it this time, you never will. I genuinely might think if we don't do it this time, then yeah, I don't think we ever will under this guy. But this, and this is what I will say. People might not want to hear this because they want Mikel to do it. I personally don't care who does it. I just want someone to do that, right? I'd love it to be Mikel because that means we do it this year, right? For me, if Mikel goes, this doesn't stop and we have to crash and start again, by the way. I want people to be really, really aware of that, because if he was to say himself, I'm not getting across the line, I'm going to go and try and do it somewhere else, I think a lot of people would respect that, by the way. But if he did do that, and I don't think he will, but if he did do that, and we went and got Luis Enrique and we put him on £15 million a year, right? And says, you've done everything in France, come and do it with us at Arsenal, come up against your boy Pep and see how good you are. You're not going to get Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, Saka, Rice and Ødegaard all go, well, if he's going, we're all off. That's not going to happen. Like, they are going to stay at Arsenal and win trophies with someone who is good enough to win them trophies. And I just think that people need to remember that, because as much as I want Mikel to go and win a quadruple this year, if he doesn't, and he doesn't win anything, and he does leave, I don't think it's RIP Arsenal. I think we move on to another manager who we believe is good enough. And do you know what happens, James, in 2 years? If he doesn't win anything, then we go and find somebody else who can. Like, that's how it works for me. I don't know why people are so against that. It's like people have this real hatred for if you think that you dare. You just say Mikel Arteta might leave Arsenal. Are you serious? And I think, wow, like, are we Arsenal or Arteta FC? Like, what one is it? So I genuinely think there are fans that are so obsessed with it and so besotted with the fact that he might do it, that if he doesn't do it, they're like, la, 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 he will, la, 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 la. He might not, though. Like, there might be a genuine chance that he might not. I mean, might have to one day say goodbye to him. And I just worry what that fan base will do, or the section of the fan base will do if he does go. They're going to have a funeral. I mean, like, what? It's weird, man.
I'm more open than ever to the idea of it not being Arteta, but I'm also more confident than ever that he will do it. So it's like a weird paradox. I sit in this, like, if we need a change, if he doesn't do it this season and we want to change, and it obviously depends who we're bringing in, but let's say we could get like a Luis Enrique. Maybe he feels his time at PSG is done. He thinks Arsenal on the brink. He feels he can do it, right? Listen, cool. I'm more open to that than ever before. But I'm simultaneously more confident than ever before that Mikel will deliver silverware this year. And I hope it's one of the big ones. But yeah, man, let's see. Hopefully they're not conversations we have to have.
No, I agree with you, bro. I agree. Look, let's end it there, people. Big up to everyone that's been here. Make sure you do me a favor. Hit the like button. Thank you so much, all the super chatters. Make sure you've clicked on Match Bingo. It's in the live chat now and the description. Make sure you're using my code POTS and then you'll get a discount. And enjoy it, man. People are winning money on it. So go and enjoy Match Bingo. It's been great, particularly in the international break as well. It's got people through. So go and enjoy that app. It's been a great app. It's one that I play as well and win some money on. So go and do that. And follow OK Jerseys as well. James, what have you got coming up, man? How can people follow you?
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, just on the Gooniverse. I've got the Gooniverse for analysis and breakdowns, and I've got Gooniverse news for instant reactions. I haven't reacted to the Gabriel news yet. Well, I've done that here with you. But also, I'm waiting for that time frame to come out. Like, I want to know, how long is he out for? Is it 4 weeks or is it 3 months? Because for me, that's I'm not talking the 2 month difference, but that's a massive difference in terms of the impact on our season. So I'm very interested to see. I'll do a reaction on that when that comes out. Obviously, I'm on Loose Cannons on Turkish channel. And yeah, appreciate you having me, man. I really appreciate it. And sorry again that we started late. That was all on me.
No, come on, bro. That's absolutely fine. And big up to all the community. Thank you so much, everyone over here at 12 Man. Make sure you've hit like and subscribe. We're going to send you over to Rance and Lee, who are chatting at the moment about Gabriel and stuff. So go and show them some love. And we'll see you next time. We're out of here, people. Layers.